Hi everyone, this week we're going to be looking at a Scuf Vantage controller for PlayStation 4 and PC. I'll preface this video by saying that I do not normally work on Scuf controllers. They are a bit of a pain in the butt, and worst of all, Scuf will not sell you parts. This one came in a lot, so I figured I would take a chance on it, see if I could at least fix it. The only issue it seems to have is stick drift on the right analog, so we're just going to open it up and see if we can't get that replaced. So to open it up, you need a Torx T5. It's going to be 4 screws. You don't really have to take these back paddles off. I just took them off to make sure they didn't get damaged while I was playing around with the controller. Once you get out the 4 Torx screws, it's just going to snap apart. You can just go ahead and pull where the vibration motors were. Don't need to do anything with the top half in this video. And then we're going to remove this bottom board. There's 4 screws, same size, Torx T5, 2 long and 2 short. Then we'll get this board removed, and of course once we flip it over we'll have the dreaded ribbon cables. Get those disconnected and get to work. So you can see here I'm just lining up to check. This is an Alps PS4 or Xbox One analog stick. I just wanted to make sure that it was the same size. It's a different color. It's got green potentiometers, but it works the same. What I'm going to do here is go ahead and flood on some more solder. I do try to use a solder sucker to get it out. The pads are a little bit small, so it proved to be difficult, so I ended up just using a hot air station to push it out, and then the soldering iron to help heat up each pad. Now that we have the old analog stick out, we're just going to go ahead and suck out all the solder from each hole, make sure that we're able to push the new one in cleanly, and then we'll go ahead and clean off any residual flux and solder with a little bit of alcohol and a Q-tip. It is important that the new analog stick sits flush because there's not much of a tolerance between the thumbstick and the Scuf faceplate. So what I like to do is hold it up with one hand and just solder one pad on each corner just to make sure that it's going to stay flat and in place. And then you can go ahead and solder the rest of them. If you see that any joints are starting to look ugly or the solder is not flowing, just go ahead and add some more flux because it does flow a lot better with more flux on there. And we'll go ahead and clean up the flex again. A couple of shameless shout outs. The analog sticks come from MJD Electronics on eBay. Bought quite a bit of stuff from him, always comes the best quality. Seems to be the only place to get true Alps sticks in the US. And the flux is from northridgefix.com. They do repairs as well as sell high quality tools and supplies for any type of soldering needs. Definitely check both of those out. So now we're just going to go ahead and get it back together, carefully slot in the ribbon cables, and then we'll plug in the battery. We'll get this main board flipped over. It is a little bit tough to get into place just because there are the side bumpers that you need to watch out for when you're installing. Once that's in, we're going to install the 4 screws, 2 short on the top, 2 long on the bottom, and then we'll just make sure everything's clean and get it snapped back together. When you're putting in the start and select buttons, you need to put the pointing out part facing down into the controller. If you don't, you'll just see that it won't press. You just simply pop it back apart and swap those around. Pretty easy to do, but definitely worth testing before you screw it back together. Just make sure all the buttons are pressing normally, that nothing's out of place. We'll go ahead and put the 4 Torx screws back in, get the thumbsticks, faceplate, and vibration motors on, and I did go ahead and test this off camera, put a few hours onto it, and it is working great. No issues, so there is actually a successful scuff repair that can be done. I started trying to clean this off. Somebody wrote in Sharpie on the controller. It ended up taking quite a while, so I didn't show that. Ended up spending about half an hour just scrubbing with different solutions back and forth. Ended up just taking a lot of pressure and rubbing alcohol to get it off. So thank you for watching.